All right. What I want you to see here is the proof and reasoning and justification for why Esau, the so-called white man, these so-called white people, these Edomites, these Idumeans, all right, those of Ishashwa will not get any mercy. They are written. We pronounce that these people will get, they are people, the people that will get no mercy in the kingdom of heaven. One bit. They're not going to get any mercy. All right. So, as I said, what I want you to see with this is the proof or reasoning for why. All right. Because they showed none to Jake. Now, this is bigger than any more of the, this whole situation. Like I said, in previous videos with the Shador Sanders situation. It's not even about that no more. This is leaked over into a lot, you know. Um, they still talking about it. They still are allowing this to show America and Jake just the perpetual hate they have, man, and how much of hypocrites they really are. You know what you see in this video, right? And this is from the official, you know, NBC network, NFL on NBC. All right, verified. It says they put Shador Sanders disrespected the NFL draft process. Pro Football Talk. This is 6 hours ago. All right. And then when you see this comment, what got me was supposedly well-informed people like Mel Kiper and Rich Eisen acting like they had no idea why he was sliding and how offended they were that it was happening. These have supposedly well-connected investigative insiders, and they didn't say a word. It was willful ignorance. No, a situation happened to where the exposing that was written to go down, um, when it comes to go down on Esau, on the so-called white man, on all his stuff and secrets, on his infrastructures and institutions, and whatnot, just happened to play out, because it was thus saith the Lord. And no one knew it was coming. No one knew, this would be the way how some of that would play off. No one knew how far this would go. So now, since the place looked completely vile and these people look completely like hating, the hating, uh, just without control, can't help it, villains, you know, and monsters they are and always have been. Now they, trying to, since it's healing over, and the response to it was simply, well, we done, we over with it. Now I just gotta go do what I gotta do. I'm thankful for the opportunity. Now they take that as a way to, okay, well, we just need to hurry up and clean up. But not even that. The audacity to still kick Jake. Because no one's people's not, well, he wouldn't, they're not gonna put up a fight. They just gonna, let it be how it is. So we're gonna take this opportunity to not just shut our mouth because they'll look bad, but to actually make ourselves look worse. These Edomites all over the country are showing their hate. The majority of them, they are like, we literally in that time. They can't help it. You could tell they don't even know why. Like, it's not justified by any means. And anything that was said about him as far as what he supposedly did wrong was supposedly an interview wrong, some shit like that. they find is all the justification in the world for their disrespect, for the disrespect that had no attachment, that have no attachment to it upon him, and by those that, no matter how minute it was, and by those that have nothing to do with the matter and don't know anything about the matter if it was true or not. So it's not about this no more. It's just about, again, how it's all about what the Lord was telling us with these people, and that's what you have to understand. All people want all this deep breakdown stuff and the shit that's happening right in front of your face. You can't discern the times, but you could break scriptures down. You know what I'm saying? You can, all of this, not, talking about brothers, but just people that's, you're not down to earth, man. The scriptures say, the Lord told us, Yahushua said he has many things to tell us, but we can't bear them yet. We still trying to figure out the things that's going on now. Ezra's had to get hit with that. Until this really pierced Jake's mind, our minds, that, the elect minds, as a whole, like, this stuff has got to still keep going on so where you can really see. But before I go ahead and get into this, like I said, let this be the proof and reasoning for why we pronounce and tell you, and just what the Lord said, which is these people will get no mercy in the kingdom of heaven. So before I get into this, I'm going to say, Call Haloyim La, Yahweh, meaning all praises to the Heavenly Father, who people call God, whose true name is Yahweh, right? Bahashem, in the name Yahweh Shai, who people call Jesus, whose true name is Yahweh Shai, both in the ancient Paleo Hebrew tongue. Much peace and many blessings, much respect and biblical love to the brothers teaching and pushing his faith across the four corners of the globe. Start with the brothers here, on to the brothers truly pushing, on to the brothers at the Great Millstone Church. Much respect and biblical love, chiefly salutations to the elder apostles and elder bishops at the Great Millstone Church. To all you that tune in, with us and listen and are being awakened of the nation of Israel. So let's go back. So I'm gonna hit play on the video, but I'm gonna play the other one first, because this one just shows more so they're in this one revealing just their envious hate and, their jealousy, what I'm saying, of Jacob, and it could be due to it being their world, probably, at this moment, but just in general, period. All right. Like, this is what they're using to justify the stuff they're saying and the treatment upon, someone who basically owns how they perceive us. They own the perception. They own that perception of us. Wow. Which is a people that's better, superior, truly supposed to be confident, truly supposed to make mention of the Lord, let the Lord fight our battles, have all the flavor in the world, be trendsetters, be the influencers, truly be governing things, not submitting to none of these people. The true perception they actually have, because we're above all of us, is pretty much something to a degree. This young man, holds to, he represents, and they don't like that, and it's the very thing that make them feel inferior, So, just so you can hear that, check this out.
It's the Tebow effect.
Right.
It's the exact same thing that got teams to the point where we don't want this guy on our depth chart. Is he good enough to be a third?
Again, read the title. Shador Sanders quote unquote disrespected, right, the NFL draft process. So this is how this starts off.
It's the Tebow effect.
Right.
It's the exact same thing that got teams to the point where we don't want this guy on our depth chart. Is he good enough to be a third string quarterback? And that's
Yeah.
And me say this too real quick. Pro Football Talk is what they got this as far as the title. Just, the subtitle. This is what they call Pro Football Talk. All right. So let's hear the Pro Football Talk and the disrespect of Shedeur Sanders when it comes to the NFL draft process. Let's hear it.
It's the Tebow effect.
Right.
It's the exact same thing that got teams to the point where we don't want this guy on our depth chart. Is he good enough to be a third string quarterback? And that's
Yeah.
debatable.
Right.
But even if he is, we don't want that. We don't want the reporters rushing past our starter to get to Tebow. The dynamic I saw the Super Bowl week of the year that Tebow Mania was a thing, people rushing by Joe effing Montana to get to Tebow.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Right.
So you can stop there. See that? So he's gonna disrupt based off who he is and the influence he has. He's basically Tim Tebow. That's what they're calling him, which is another damn Edomite who they can't even compare. Like it's asinine. But the one thing that does make sense as far as what they're saying, just as much as Tim Tebow wasn't a damn quarterback or football player, those that, watch sports, know sports, seen sports back then, and he was just a hype job, right? The same way that actually was is how they see Shedeur Sanders, how they want to paint him to be, despite that not being true. All right, because he's every bit of all the Edomites that they say are actual quarterbacks over, a position they say Jake could never play. They used to say Jake could play no sports. Jake's inferior, but yet we dominate every damn thing. We look better than y'all. Everything. Y'all are just haters. And we never projected that. Y'all made it about that. So here it is. Y'all talk about some goddamn pro football talk and how he's disrespected the NFL draft process when he don't even got that much power to do such a thing. He can't go disrespect, get on TV and run continuous ads and, he can't do it. And you can't use anything as far as their own media channels to say that's the place where they don't do that either. All you see is them working. He's no different from anybody else. Y'all just haters. And it's something that it's something about him in comparison to the other Israelites that was in this draft that could disrupt and empower that the other ones didn't possess. They didn't have that aspect to him. Everything he's tied to, he's attached to everything he represents. Like his way of getting to the league is crazy. Like he came from an HBCU. So
We don't need that.
Right.
We're trying to win football games here.
So they like, we don't want him, getting a shine. We don't want him, messing up the tradition. Stay in line, nigga. You know what I'm saying? But this is not the point.
And look, especially before the draft, I'm not.
They're saying they're a legend, and you are to, how dare you? I'm the man. How dare you? That's basically what they're saying. He's Tim Tebow, and their system. Because they don't give a damn about nobody. Their system, how they weigh, what they want, their heart's desire is a legend. Is the connotation of the mention of Joe Montana. You know what I'm saying? Which is he's if you will, a legendary football player, legendary quarterback. Who put in his work and time and. Tim Tebow is just, he's just a moment. He hasn't even, But ain't nobody during this. There's really nobody. It's just crazy. I ain't gonna keep talking.
Not going to traffic in anonymous opinion. Anonymous fact is a different thing. We talked last week about the whole NFL media deciding to just basically act like a social media site and say, hey, you want to put something up anonymously, no matter how vile or poisonous it is? Remember the quote? Here it is. He's so entitled. Worst formal interview of my life. He takes unnecessary sacks, never plays on time, horrible body language, blames teammates. Biggest thing is he's not that good. You can't, I believe, and I don't care, they can try to explain it till they're blue in the face. We should not do that. We should not allow that. We should not traffic in that, especially before the draft. Now, after the draft, once the dust settles, if there's specific things that came up that may have contributed to help.
And what's fire about this is dealing with the draft, which deals with assessment. So this situation was used to put out to the media how they still assess you Jakes, you Israelites, man. How they still assess us. Those that actually cleave to the perspective they actually have of us themselves. What about us that actually makes them feel inferior? No matter how much or to what degree. No matter if we actually doing it intentionally or not. They're showing you how they feel about it. How if you do that, how they assess it, how they'll treat that. So they just a bunch of envious, devilish haters. But we're gonna get to the point, which is them not showing no mercy. Watch this.
Explain why it happened, and that's the danger here. Before the draft, a lot of the stuff that makes its way.
The main reason is because after this has been done, this is over with already. They still here going. They make money off of your downfall. Like it's written. They're talking about him as if, again, he's a curse to the earth. Like, which that's in the scriptures. Just to get a quick scripture. Because we know this happened because we disobeyed the Heavenly Father. So this is why this is going on with us. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right, so let's jump down to the point. Yeah. 37. Salaki. Just run through these. Anyway, it says, and thou shalt become an astonishment. See, this is one of the curses. This is in the NLT. You will become an object of horror, ridicule, and mockery among all the nations. See, among all the nations. Let me read that again. To which the Lord Yahweh sends you. You will become an object of horror. An object of horror. Ridicule. See, ridicule and mockery. You will become an object of horror, ridicule, and mockery among all the nations to which Yahweh sends you. All right, in the NLT, and thou shalt become a astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord shall lead thee. Let's get one more. 1 Kings 9. And I'm going to jump to the point. It says 5. Yeah, let's start at 4. And if thou walk before me as David thy father walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and wilt keep my statutes and my judgments. All right. But Jake don't do that. In the NLT, as for you, if you will follow me with the integrity and godliness as David, your father did, your forefather, your ancestor David, right? Dawad, or Dawadai says, obeying all my commands, decrees, and regulations. Doing things how the Lord told you to do. Then I will establish the throne, all right, of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, back in the KJV, as I promised to David thy father. So we clearly didn't do that because Israel hasn't been established forever because you still have China ruling, Russia, people talking about who the number one country, who got the number one military, America, whose race, whose religion, when the Israelites are the people of God. So true, obviously, if this was to happen already, there will be no more of this because it says, then will I establish the throne, then will I, the Most High, establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever. And that proved to you ain't none of these other nations Israelites, because if they were, if Russia was the Israelites, right, for you simple people, you people out there can understand, because to be a Russian is not an ethnicity. But let's look at it like that. If so-called white people was the Israelites, wouldn't their throne be established forever? Wouldn't it be no other religions? It wouldn't be no Muslim loud, none of that. Because they the people of God, which is the true God. If Arabs were the Ishmaelites, the so-called Jews, if they was the true people of God, wouldn't everything else cease according to this? So it proved to you they're not, and they don't even claim it to be for real. They claim Jewish. They're not. There's not that. The reason why you don't see this established is because the people that's truly the Israelites aren't established. Which are you so-called blacks, us so-called blacks, Negroes, West Indians, so-called Latinos, Native American Indians. You know, primarily trapped physically in the Western Hemisphere. And if not physically, mentally, all over the earth, spiritually. All right? Then will I establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever. See that? Upon Israel forever. That hasn't happened. As I promised to David, thy father, and he promised the Israelites this, man. The great Israelite men. So why this ain't happened yet? Because we ain't did our part yet. Things haven't happened yet for the Israelites in their fulfillment as far as good and bad. Uprisings and etc. All right? Certain things being done to you and etc. for this to happen. But as you see it in underway right now. All right? That's why you see us getting treatment no one else got. Everyone else got a country, people established, but we're not. But yeah, you're getting all this treatment. Then you read the scriptures and sound like you. And then simultaneously, the Israelites so-called are nowhere to be found because you are the people. You're the people playing that role. You're in the process of that coming back to the earth. That's truth. We ain't left nowhere, man. It's us. It says, as I promised to David, thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel. So we'll be ruling. All right? Real royalty. Real aristocracy. A real sovereign nation. A true nation of kings and priests. Not no goddamn we what was kings. We are the kings. We gods. How about that? And all you dumbass niggas out there that don't believe that, you can die. How about that? May Yahweh Shemi Awashah either wake your ass up or destroy your ass. Shut the fuck up. Because you don't know what the fuck you talking about. But if you will not, if ye shall at all turn from following me, but y'all playing y'all role too, you're going to get destroyed. Right along with these damn unmerciful damn devils, these people. It says, but if ye shall at all turn from following me, see, ye or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes, which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them. It just makes sense. You going to worship ESPN and these people and what they think, their assessment of you and all this shit. It says, which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name. Yeah. You trying to get a damn penthouse here. You ain't seeking a house back in your own country because you don't even know it's your country and it's being devoured by damn aliens and strangers in your presence. Isaiah, the first chapter, tells you this. Of course, just by default, these things will play out. It's you. It says, which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them. Then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name. Everybody else living in Israel except you. It says, which I have hallowed for my name. it says, will I cast out of my sight? He gonna cast the Lord out of, basically looking over you for real. There's supposed to be way more miracles than you just getting drafted, finally, like going on, man. They just can't help but draft you because your talent is just so undeniable. You have to give you a chance. Like, bro, we bigger than that. It says, will I cast out of my sight? And Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. See that? This in the NLT. Then I will uproot Israel from this land that I have given them. I will reject this temple that I have made holy, right, to honor my name. Exactly. Y'all bodies. All right. That's the temple he talking about. I will make Israel an object of mockery and ridicule among the nations. Exactly. These things, and through the control that he has over these people he's made. He's making Esau do that. He was made to be the devil to you. He's doing these Edomites. It says, and though this temple is impressive now, all who pass by will be appalled and will shake their heads in amazement. They will ask, why did the Lord do such terrible things to this land and to this temple? All right. But that's not the point. But I'll read the last verse. It says, and the answer will be because his people abandoned their Lord, Yahweh, their God, who brought their ancestors out of Egypt. See? And worshipped other gods instead and bowed down to them. That is why Yahweh brought all these disasters on them. So when we go back to this crap, right? That's what you're seeing, a mockery, a reproach, so forth and so on. Among people we actually better than. Look at this last one. This is Psalms in the 44th chapter, in the 14th verse. It says, let's start at 11. Yeah, man. Let's in the NLT. Let's get this. Let's start at 8. It says, and God, Yahweh, right? We boast all the day long, right? That's all Jake do. Boasting, so-called Jake. Well, not so-called Jake, so-called boasting God, But it says, 4:14, 4:44. It says, in Yahweh, in the Most High, we boast all the day long and praise thy name forever, right? This in the NLT, but now you have tossed us aside in dishonor. See that? You no longer lead our armies to battle. All right? It says back in the KJV, thou makest us to turn back from the enemy, and they which hate us spoil for themselves. See that? Exactly. They just use us for what we worth. They spoil us, steal us, rob us of our knowledge, of our dignity, of our integrity, of things that was just given unto us. Our way of being, our way of doing things. And they take, take us from there and use us for what they want to use us for once we broken down. Make money off of us, all these ratings. They racking up all type of ratings, They making so much money off this stream crap, it don't make no sense. But see, that whole thing is why he going down. But it says, thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat. Right? Verse 11, and has scattered us among the heathen. See that? It says, thou sellest thy people for naught. All right? And does not increase thy wealth by their price. Exactly. The Lord not getting none. He didn't get none out of us being sold as slaves. They didn't pay the Lord. They didn't make the Lord rich. They just put us in slavery and we still here being used for what they want to use us for now, when they want to use us. These the same fucking red face ass, reptilian, scale face ass demons, devils. This is Esau. It says, thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors. You know, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about. We just the butt of all jokes right now. You know, and hoop help ones are even ourselves. You got Jakes, you know, confused. They try to be the so-called contrarian, try to play both sides, play devil's advocate, and not, and go against other Jakes when really they going against themselves. Try to go against Jake when they Jake. Like, it don't make no sense. While everybody mocking us and ridiculing us. So it's just crazy. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen. You see that? Thou makest us a byword among the heathen. You know? This in the NLT, you have made us the butt of their jokes. They shake their heads at us in scorn. See that? It says, thou makest us a byword among the heathen. See that? The heathen. These people that can't say nothing that's not better at us than anything, that wouldn't be nothing without us, using us. It says a learning from us, a shaking of the head among the people. My confusion is continually before my face, and the shame of my face has covered me. And that's the reality for a lot of Jakes. They just told they ugly, they nothing. They not giving no mercy. But all this happened because we went off. But see, this was to get us to realize, the decisions we make, man. You know, you stay with the Lord, and you obey Him and try to get approved by Him. You're gonna get the way He deals done unto you. But if you try to go to someone else that's less than Him, people at that on earth, they ain't even know people at that. Just giving you, just breaking it down. For their assessment and so forth, you're going to get how they deal and how they go about things done unto you. And that's what you're seeing. All right? You consent with a thief. Don't be surprised if he steals from you. You shake hands with the devil, make a covenant with death. Don't be surprised when you're just surrounded by death, man. When death is overtaking you because you made a covenant with death. Okay? So.
Way to the media, and I'll hear people say all the time, well, you're not going to change the mind of any general manager. You're not going to change the mind of any coach. No, but you know who you're going to affect? You're going to affect the owner. And that one dynamic gets so overlooked in this. Yeah. You're going to freak out owners, and they're going to start asking questions, and it's going to scare guys away. So my point is this. Yeah, I hear you. Peter King called. And I trust Peter King completely. He's still plugged in. He called right before the show. Hey, listen, this guy blew his whiteboard interviews. And I've heard from multiple teams. No, that's a fact, man. That's a fact. He didn't care. Right. He didn't take it seriously. He totally disrespected the process. If there's one thing he has fault in, it's that. And that's a fact. Man. And I trust Peter King completely. He's still plugged in. He called right before the show. Hey, listen, this guy blew his whiteboard interviews. And I've heard from multiple teams. No, and I trust Peter King completely. He's still plugged in.
So this is supposedly who's the source on supposedly getting word from this from the people that actually dealt with Shador. Some guy named Peter King.
And he called right before he looked in this. Yeah. You're going to freak out owners, and they're going to start asking questions, and it's going to scare guys away. So my point is this. Yeah, I hear you. Peter King called. And I trust Peter King completely. He's still plugged in. He called right before the show. Hey, listen, this guy blew his whiteboard interviews. And I've heard from multiple teams. No, that's a fact, man. That's a fact. He didn't care. Right. He didn't take it seriously. He totally disrespected the process. If there's one thing he has fault in, it's that. And that's the first litmus test of the NFL. You know that. Wait, is he going to work? Is he going to be ready? Is he going to be prepared? Here's something he can affect that just like it's on him.
All these dudes do is work. Anybody that watch their games, watch their media, all this dude do is work. He Deion Sanders' son. What are y'all talking about? Y'all done made all type of money off Deion, who's a true legend. He defied all type of everything, boundaries within this game, all of that y'all, perpetuate the people, et cetera, man. So how the heck, but see, y'all hypocrites, because here it is, see, ain't no mercy. They don't give him a fair shake, but the guy that the prank call that he got actually came from the son of a defensive coordinator from the Atlanta Falcons. See, so there's no mercy on Jake.
Right? It's not like did our right tackle block somebody? Did somebody miss a read or not read the coverage right? These are the things you can control. And yes, that's not where he disrespected the process. And that's where a lot of the NFL was very turned off by Shedeur Sanders and the things you're talking about. Go ahead, Mike. Keep talking what you're saying.
Well, the one story that came up over the weekend, too,
Yeah.
to tie it to a specific team, Todd McShay had reported on Thursday, and Todd McShay was, he was the Robin,
one of the main guys.
Mel Kiper's Batman for
Right,
years, to the point where he was almost Batman 2. He's with the Ringer now. He specifically said it happened with the Giants. And we saw the clip last year on the Hard Knocks offseason when we weren't otherwise fascinated by the Saquon Barkley drama. You got Brian Daboll sitting in the room, and the quarterbacks come in on the whiteboard, and he gives it to him a little bit. Let's stir it up a little bit.
Exactly.
Well, Shedeur didn't like that, apparently,
right,
when it happened with him and Daboll. And Daboll was asked about it on Friday night after they made their third-round pick. And, he didn't deny it. He danced around it. Oh, let's go ahead and listen to this play now since we're...
So basically someone possibly disrespected him, did submit, tried to come in and crack a whip, probably crazy, and Jake to try to, which was probably premeditated, and it didn't work. And they don't like that. Let's go here. So you're going to see the hypocrisy and the unmercy that they show. Like, okay, is this guy going to be ready? Is this guy going to be ready? Is he taking it serious? This is Deion Sanders' son. They don't, they're not going to cut him any slack or give him any benefit of the doubt because of those things. And his media, he got a media channel up, his brothers, etc. I mean, he performs in front of everybody every Saturday, every week, right? For 2 years, multiple years. This guy done won, 2 more championships on the HBC, amongst the HBC schools, if I'm not mistaken. Clinched the first bowl game for Colorado, so forth and so on, right? While he's doing it with one of the greatest players to ever live when it comes to this game of football, right? So they don't cut him any slack to say, okay, we know he's, with all of that, plus he's Deion, he's this guy's son. We're gonna give him a break. You know what I'm saying? He gets it. He's been raised around someone who we actually raised, and if you will, when it comes to someone who's grass fed, who's he's so-called an NFL alumni, but they never could really like tame him how they wanted to, but they had to suffice because in reality, y'all business partners. As sad as it is for Esau because you supposedly his slave, but we ain't nobody's servants but the Heavenly Father in reality. Yeah, he said we was going to be sent here to serve these people, but we're not his servant. So it makes sense whereas moments during this service, this slavery we've been put under, where we truly wouldn't be in the appearance of a slave, a servant of his. We truly wouldn't be his servant. We wouldn't be his servant. We wouldn't be able to be because that's not what we was made to be. We're not homeborn slaves. And that's what they're mad at. But my point is, with all that being said, let's see if do you think they'll cut him slack to say, you know what, well, he probably be ready. He get it because he's Deion's son. But you're going to see they don't do this but they didn't do that, obviously, right? Now, we hear about to watch this video, and they're talking about the Falcons defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbricht's son, who's behind the Shedeur Sanders prank call, which is a part of the NFL draft process, which he shouldn't even had any business getting his number. But let's see how they treat this, how they treat Jake.
The prank call thing, and hey, I'm gonna be completely candid here because all statutes of limitations have expired. When we were kids, It wasn't anything more fun than making prank calls. And I mean, we used to gather out. It was our Thursday night thing. We would go to one of my friend's house and we would brainstorm all these different ways we could prank call. And we'd pull out the phone book and we'd try to think of funny things we could say. I mean, so I get that part of it. There's kind of an impishness to it. But, when you're messing with these guys who are waiting to get a pretty important phone call that's going to tell them where they're going to be spending their life for at least the next 4 years, and you prank them at that time, and it's not a bunch of 13-year-old kids, it's adults, it's college kids who are doing it. That to me is it's troubling generally. And the glee that these guys take in recording it, putting it on social media, that they're pranking one of these guys, and we've seen it happen to several. I didn't realize it happened to Cooper DeJean last year. He got prank called while he was waiting to be drafted. I didn't know. People were like, it's a big deal for Shador. Why wasn't it a big deal for Cooper? Because I didn't know it happened. That's why.
Right.
And everybody.
Which ain't nothing but other Edomites saying that.
And everybody got to stop saying that crap too. First off,
It's people saying, no, it ain't nothing but angry, entitled fucking crackers, Edomites.
hear that a little. Why wasn't bad plays of Jackson Dart shown by Dan Orlovsky? Why wasn't the call on Cooper DeJean and he was pranked not a bigger deal? Because they didn't fall 5 rounds and we didn't watch them for 3 days straight.
Their dad isn't Deion Sanders.
And they're not Deion Sanders. That's why. Like, stop with the stupid questions.
See, the whole thing about Deion.
Jackson Dart got drafted before we thought he was going to get drafted. That's why Dan Orlovsky didn't make a tape on why, if he falls, this is maybe the reasons he's falling. I mean, come on, everybody. Not everything is always a bigger play. Sometimes it's just about football. And like the damn guy didn't show up to meetings prepared, then maybe he's not as good as everybody thought. Stop looking for all that. But Auntie's falling. I mean, come on, everybody. Not everything is always a bigger play. Sometimes it's just about football. And like the damn guy didn't show up to meetings prepared.
See, the damn guy. But his son's a kid. But they all in college. But this the damn guy. See that? Shit crazy.
Then maybe he's not as good as everybody thought. Stop looking for all that. But onto this.
You would think they know this dude. He done did something to him. But this the perpetual hatred that the Lord said these people's gonna have.
Subject, okay? This is crazy. First off, I mean, what the hell are these kids thinking? Seriously, what are you?
Let me get this. Back to these curses real quick. Deuteronomy 28 and 46. And they shall be upon, right? I'm starting at 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy God to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. It says in NLT, these horrors will serve as a sign and warning among you and your descendants forever. See that? So the people that was the Israelites then, all the way to the people that come with those people now, which is us, so-called Blacks, Latinos, Native American, and so forth and so on. It says, because thou servest not Yahweh, back in the KJV, thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee. And the hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put, let me read that in NLT. You will serve your enemies whom Yahweh will send against you. You will be left hungry, thirsty, naked, and lacking everything. Yahweh will put an iron yoke on your neck, oppressing you harshly until he has destroyed you. Right? But again, he said it's gonna be through these people. All right. So no mercy. It says back in the KJV. Matter of fact, me just read on. The Lord will Yahweh will bring a distant nation against you, right, from the end of the earth, and it will swoop down on you like a vulture, right? But when you read that in KJV, it's talking about an eagle. That's America. Yahweh will bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Yeah, how these people move, how they assess things, how they talk, they hold IQ assessments. You know, it says a nation in the NLT A fierce and heartless nation that shows no respect for the old and no pity for the young. See that's how they gonna treat our people, our old and young. You know, and this is exactly what you're seeing. So our young don't get no pity, children, so forth and so on. And it ain't nothing, and that's what Dion wanted to prevent, because he knew that it's a different standard for you, Jakes, our children, and that's biblical. That's the prophecy, you know. But does that make these people not wrong? No, and that's why he wanted to step in, Dion, because he knew this, but they don't like that. So it's about him. Deuteronomy 28:32. It says, "You, thy sons and daughters, and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eye shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand." Yeah, your children got to be subject to this system, the hard treatment. They got to be given over at some point. Some earlier than others, some worse than others. So these people don't have no choice but to be like this because they the Edomites. They're Esau, who was written to have that perpetual hate, you know, for Jacob, because that's his brother. Like that's his counterpart basically. But they're nothing alike. When you read Genesis 25 and read Genesis 27, the 25th chapter and the 27th chapter, it says this is dealing with Esau. Ezekiel 35:1. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, because he ain't just say that, say, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it, and say unto it, thus saith Yahweh. This is dealing with Esau, so-called white people, the Edomites, Idumeans. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. So, because the Lord will have it to where he going to have favor on us. So who better than sin against us as a punishment than the people he hate if he's going to save us from it? You know what I'm saying? To where it'll be a saving, or where we'll, it'll get the point of the Lord through to us that he was trying to make. And it'll just have us completely submit to him, because these people that's completely against him is people that think they the most high. They completely hate the most high, and they would be the best ones to get the job done. Because in salvation, right, which is the destruction of our enemy, it's destruction, you know, to whatever degree, and it's going to be a massive destruction, because these people have built themselves so up so high physically, financially. They think so as far as even technology is concerned, at least amongst, or really only amongst humans, who better than the Lord to show his power against, man. And in their minds they have, gone too far up. So when you read on, the Lord says, behold, I am against thee, Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Because what they did, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh. Because the Lord said in the Apocrypha, woe, miserable be the cities that inhabited thee. So all these places where we get sent to play football, play basketball, to work, we were sent to build up, they're gonna be miserable. They're gonna be destroyed. All right. But reading on, come get to the point. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, which was given to him to have. When you read Genesis 25 and what? 32, 22, it says, and the children struggled together within her, right? It says, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And it says, and Yahweh said unto her, two nations, so two races are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. So the younger will actually be the stronger one, while the one that will come out first will be the elder. And the elder will be Esau, the one that will come first. So he will basically in his mind, think he's the best, but in reality, his brother's better than him. He has a counterpart that's better than him, that's ultimately was attached to him, um, as he came out, holding on to his heel. So it was always written to be a fight. But see, that's his younger brother and someone that, how can I say this? He wants to be superior from. You would think he would be superior than, but he isn't, and in no means. You know, because he was seen first. Jake wasn't given the chance to be seen, but when Jake was seen, it was clear he was better. Esau came out red all over, completely washed away, or Ashashwa. He didn't even have any melanin. He had a completely different spirit. He didn't even believe in the Lord. As they grew older and that would manifest, he had no faith. He was completely carnal, you know? So basically they were supposed to be separated for good, forever, you know? They hated each other in the womb when you go into this, but people don't like talking about this. People don't talk about this portion of the Bible. See, oppressed. They struggled together. Grievously oppressed to crush each other, discourage each other. Just each other's presence and essence and nature. Bruise. He want to hurt you, but you hurt him mentally, spiritually, just by being you. Just doing the right thing. You're of righteousness, he's of wicked. The wicked want to outright kill you, murder you, take you out. You take him out just by doing the right thing, because he ought to be took out. So when you go back to Ezekiel 35 and 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred against perpetual hatred, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword. See that in the sword of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. All right. It's in the NLT. Your eternal hatred for the people of Israel. See that? Which Shadur's of led you to butcher them when they were helpless. When I had already punished them for all their sins. See that? As surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, since you show no distaste for blood, I will give you a bloodbath of your own. Your turn has come. All right? Because why? We're going to go to Jeremiah 29 and 24 and 9. And I will deliver them to be removed into all kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, which is dealing with us, the curses, the Israelites, those that, to be cursed. This dealing with the curses. And the people being removed into all kingdoms being the Israelites, the people put under the curses for disobeying the Lord. That will have what? To be a reproach. That will have reproaches going on amongst them. It says in a proverb, a taunt and a curse in all places where I should drive them. I will make them an object of horror and a symbol of evil to every, and a symbol of evil to every nation on earth. They look at us like we a stench, we a stain, like no one wants to be cool to nothing. It says, they will be disgraced. They will be disgraced and mocked. And it says taunted and cursed wherever I scatter them. And the main reason why, because everywhere you go is under the influence of Esau, the so-called white man. World Wide Web, television, all of that, man. All right. And this is and he will keep perpetuating, as you see, headlines, medias. He will use his witchcraft to spread that hatred for that destruction that he desires upon his own brother. Someone he's inferior to, his own so-called brother. All right. I want to grab this just real quick. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. This is Nahum 3. It says, 1, woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departed not. They don't never stop feasting on us. Everything they said about us is a lie. They told you was black. You ain't black. Indian, Latino. That's the lie. All right. In the NLT, what sorrow awaits Nineveh, which represents spiritual, which America represents spiritual Nineveh, man. You know, the city of murder and lies. She is crammed with wealth and is never without victims, because that's how they, because the killing of the Jakes, the shedding of the blood of the Israelites is how they make money. They make money and movies off of our astonishment, us being an astonishment, our curse, us being a curse and hissing. They make money off our pain. You know, like Kevin Hart had that stand up, laugh at my pain. You know, reading on, it says, hear the crack of the whips, which is why we call y'all crackers. It says the rumble of wheels, horse hooves pound, and chariots clattered wildly. Yeah, that's how it used to start. It started in America. Now you just got cars that got engines that have so-called horsepower in it. They have emulated the power of horses with their technology through what? Our work, our inventions, you know, our labor, us in those factories, you know, that have stolen our patents. It says, or patented our ideas, or outright stolen. You know, it says, see the flashing swords and glittering spears, and the flashing swords is those what? Guns. Because a gun flash, that gun flash, man. When the bullet coming out of the barrel, you know, lasers. It says, and glittering spears, missiles, our army, military, just hell. We in hell, man. It says, as the charioteers charge past, there are countless casualties, heaps of bodies, so many bodies that people stumble over them. Exactly. You know, you can't even get to where you trying to go because somebody got put to death in traffic. You know what I'm saying? It says, read on in the KJV, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, which is America, right? The harlot, the mother of all harlots. It says the mistress of witchcrafts. It says that selleth nations through her whoredoms, right? That selleth nations through her whoredoms, that get people to buy into to where she can make money, you know, by playing off the lust of people. People like hearing dirty stuff they ain't supposed to hear, being messy, being gossiping, you know, all of that. It says that selleth nations through her whoredoms, you know. And then you can even look at it in the sense of how they sell us for how they like in scripture, how say, you know, they sell a boy and a girl for the wine and a musket gun, roughly paraphrasing, you know, all for their lust, which that's talking about us. The people they sell. It says, and whoredoms through her witchcraft. So that's their TV. All right, that's all this crap, you know. Yeah, people believe in this. This is how they get us to become a stain in people's eyes across the earth, but to a certain degree, because no one's like the so-called white man. And the Lord seeing this, and he would prevent this by basically having their tongue fall upon themselves. But getting to the point, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will shew the nations thy nakedness, and the kings thy shame. Exactly. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock, because you did this to Jake. You know? So that's what you're not gonna receive any mercy, man. So let's go to Zechariah 8:13. And it shall come to pass that as ye were a curse among the heathen, O house of Judah and house of Israel, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, so will I save you, and ye shall be a blessing. Fear not, let your hands be strong. So all this crap they did, let's read that in NLT. It says, among the other nations, Judah and Israel became symbols of a cursed nation, but no longer. I will rescue you and make you both a symbol and a source of blessing. So don't be afraid. Be strong and get on with rebuilding the temple. Fire. And that's exactly what was going on. Because he's talking about the elect. A lot of our Jake's gonna be casualties to this stuff, but it's to get the job done. It's to let, okay, this means war. This is what the Lord's meant. So we see this and we say something, man. All right, this shit not cool. All right. So the Lord is gonna destroy these people, man. He's gonna destroy them. So let's just hear this double standard one more time and shut this down.
But onto this subject, bigger play. Sometimes it's just about football. And like the damn guy didn't show up to meetings prepared. Then maybe he's not as good as everybody thought.
See? Lies. Jake, the thumb of the earth, man. Does that mean all Jakes can play football and stuff like that? No. But we all know what we've seen. So you can't get on TV and try to repaint what I know I watch. You know? He cold, man. Period. He good at what he good at. Is he his dad? No. You know? But he his dad's son. You know? He come of the race you hate, nigga.
Stop looking for all that. But onto this subject, okay?
You the nigga. You the niggard. You got people. You people got a country. You got subjects and all of this. You got money. But like the scriptures say, riches are comely for a niggard, and what riches are not comely. My bad. Riches are not comely for a niggard, and what shall a envious man do with money? This is verse Sirach 14:3. Blessed is the man that have not slipped with his mouth and is not pricked with the multitude of sins. It says, blessed is he who conscience have not condemned him and who is not fallen from his hope in the Lord. Riches are not comely for a niggard. It says, and what should an envious man do with money? You know, he ain't gonna do it, but he ain't gonna do nothing with it because he gonna be too busy caught up in the nigga in whoever he hating on. He ain't gonna do nothing but try to go, goddamn, he ain't gonna do nothing but go show himself to be a hypocrite because the dude he hating on, probably down talking, he gonna go emulate, you know? The nigga Esau a clown. It says, he that gathereth by defrauding his own soul, gathereth for others thou shalt spend his good righteously. He that is evil to himself, these are your own, you know? You need these guys. You need Shadur just to keep this dumb world going. It says, he that gathereth by defrauding his own, Slakia, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. Exactly. There is none worse than he that envieth himself. Fire. And this is a recompense of his wickedness. You know, you envy yourself. Why don't you just admit to the world you Esau and Jacob your brother? You the inferior one. And you a hater though. And you a hypocrite. You a dang hypocrite, man. You the damn devil. The same thing, the same one that the Lord was talking about when he said the Pharisees who were hypocrites were y'all in league with these damn Edomites, man. It's gonna get y'all destroyed. Who's in league with Satan? Y'all a bunch of Satan worshipers. Y'all don't worship the Heavenly Father. You don't know nothing about the Heavenly Father, man. You know, you Jakes that do, but, you know, man, y'all gonna get it too, okay? So, that's why there's no mercy coming for these people. So I don't even got to play no more, but let's see what else was said.
But onto this subject, okay? This is crazy. First off, I mean, what the hell are these kids thinking? Seriously, what are you thinking? First off, to record yourself and do it, that makes you think, like, what are you thinking anyways? You're recording yourself doing something stupid. Like, you deserve the double stupid award for that.
Stupid and mean.
Yeah, so you deserve the double stupid award for that, okay? Second thing is, in the NFL, as you know, a lot of these guys, most of them buy a separate phone just for the draft and only give the number to the 32 teams. And that's it. So That too. So that phone, nobody's got the number. So it's easy to trace back. And yeah, it is. It was mean. The whole thing was mean. I felt bad for Shedeur Sanders. And the NFL needs to figure out something there. Why does all the position coaches need the number? Just give it to the GM and the head coach. Yeah.
I know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened. And see, on Saturday night, after the prank call came to light and it kind of started to take on a life of its own, and Shedeur Sanders explained to Shiloh in their live stream that he had a separate phone that was sent to him by Boost Mobile. And so only the NFL would have had the number. Now, I heard stories yesterday about guys getting prank calls, not during the draft, getting prank calls from their friends, guys on teams, veteran players getting a prank call from their friend that they'd been traded and packing their shit and going to the airport and finding out they hadn't been traded. I heard a good story about that yesterday. That happened. I can't say who, but there was a player in the NFL whose friend called him and told him he had been traded, and he packed his shit and went to the airport, and then finally called his agent, and his agent said, "Dude, you have not been traded."
It's all funny games. It's all light games. Us, trying to really destroy you, be a demon to you. You know what I'm saying? Break your spirit, so forth and so on. Humiliate you in front of the world. It's all like, funny games. It's all lighthearted. This is some kids, some college kids messing around with you, man. Come on, you're okay, right, buddy? You damn guy.
So anyway, I mean that's
great, and that's friends on friends crime. There,
right,
this
right.
is not stranger
This is
ruining
messing
my
with
life.
strangers.
Right,
exactly. So here's what happened. There were 2 memos that went out last week that are relevant to this. On Wednesday, there was a memo that went to all coaches, general managers, IT specialists, etc., not to assistant coaches, that had the phone number, cell, and the green room phone number for the 16 guys who were going to be at the draft. 24 guys who were virtually participating, including Shedeur Sanders, had his phone number and the rest. And it also had the 5 phone numbers for the guys participating in the international pathway program who were in Green Bay in the event any of them were going to be drafted. They were in Green Bay, had their numbers too. I've seen that memo. I have that memo.
Yep.
The second communication is the important one.
Let her cook. Big low come through frame.
Get it before you get home.
Let her cook. Okay. Too much cake got bad. Oh God. Let her cook. All that sauce.
Get it in as fast as an hour with express delivery.
Oh, it's already delivered.
See how they just use Jake for everything, but then they disrespect us. It's crazy. This for Walmart.
Welcome to your Walmart.
What talking about? You getting a check?
It was an email sent by the league to the all waivers account, which is what they send the waiver wire out on, which goes to everyone, which goes to assistant coaches, which goes to everyone in the personnel department. And the message is very simple. Shedeur Sanders has a new phone. Here's his number. So when it came out yesterday that Jax Ulbrich, the 21-year-old son of Falcons defensive coordinator and very recently Jets interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich, that he was visiting his parents. He saw an open iPad. Microsoft isn't going to be happy about that. They're the ones paying like $500 million a year for the sponsorship, but saw an open iPad. That's from the Falcons statement, and wrote down the number and intended to prank call Shedeur Sanders during the draft. Now, that's the official explanation from the Falcons. It absolves Jeff Ulbrich of any responsibility other than leaving an open iPad around. And the Falcons...
So why the hell Deion Sanders ain't absolved from nothing? Why has his name been thrown through the mud? Hey, Deion, maybe you want to tell your kid, it's okay to tell you from Colin Cowherd, goddamn Cowherd, talking about some, it's okay to tell your kid to be humble.
Aren't going to take any action. There's their statement that was issued yesterday around 4 o'clock Eastern time. So this is all Jax Ulbrich, the 21-year-old, going rogue when he saw the open iPad, saw the phone number for Shedeur Sanders. I can only assume he saw that second email I'm telling you about because it would have gone to Jeff Ulbrich, and it had one name and one number in it,
right.
Shedeur Sanders.
Right. I mean, listen, can I buy this story? Of course I can. Yes. Do I think? I mean, Jeff Olbrook, is he the type of guy that might have been sitting there on his iPad looking at film in the house, doing stuff like that, leaves it there, leaves it open, walks away, whatever, and now we know how those notifications pop up and the son takes it? Yeah, I mean, can I see it going down like that? Certainly. It doesn't make it right, but yeah, I can see it going down that way for sure. And
Okay, but why the hell he didn't do it to nobody else?
I don't want to blame Jeff Ulbrich here too much, and other than that, damn, your son shouldn't have done this because he is in college and he should know what's better or right and wrong as far as it comes to this situation and putting his dad in a horrible spot.
He should know what's right and wrong as far as what comes to this situation. See, he a kid, right?
Other than that, damn, your son shouldn't have done this because he is in college and he should know what's better or right and wrong as far as it comes to this situation and putting his dad in a horrible spot. I mean, he's got to feel horrible. He should feel horrible, and that was a low blow to do that to Shedeur Sanders.
Well, and I've heard from some people in the aftermath, like, do you really buy this? Is this really what happened?
Well, what else is there to imply, right? Like, I don't think Ulbricht's like, hey, guys, here's Shedeur Sanders.
I know. I know. Hey,
right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe he had the iPad open because the Falcons were going to draft him. I mean, who knows? But I'm kidding. But the email was dated the 23rd of April.
I'm done. I'm not finna play this shit no more. Y'all can sit here and watch this. This is Iraq 27. You see, mocking, still playing. It says Iraq 27 and 28. It says, verse 27, he that worketh, I'm going to jump to the point. Mockery and reproach, verse 28. Sirach 27, 28. Mockery and reproach are from the proud. See, mockery and reproach are from the proud. So only proud people do that, And the Lord already said how he going to deal with Esau because of his pride in the book of Obadiah, which is a book about their whole nation completely being destroyed and eradicated. This is let's start at 1. Obadiah 1:1. Thus the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom, right? So-called white people. We have heard the rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her and battle. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. So while y'all hating Jake, you damn so-called American Edomites, if the whole world hates you, you even hate you, right? It says in the worst way, it says, behold, Jake cursed. You people just the devil. Y'all ain't under no damn curse. Y'all just the devil. It says, behold, I have made thee small toward your eye, evil towards your brother. You people are no good. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. You so prideful, you can't see that your ass on your way. You on your way down. You have been deceived by your own pride in the NLT. See that? Because you live in a rock fortress and make your home high in the mountains, right? Skyscrapers, penthouses. You come from the caves, you quit cave dwellers from the Caucasus Mountains and over east. All right. It says, who can ever reach us up way up here? You ask bothfully. It says, it says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, you love the eagle symbol, right? And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. All right. If these came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Right? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? See that? Even the thief, they don't take every fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? They leave something. Esau come and they done stole everything from us. Our everything, our dignity, our identity, our immunity, everything, man. Polluting our food to our immune systems. Everything, man. The Bible from us, our immunity, our God, all of this, man. So how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? Exactly. How would you be cut off? You wouldn't if you're just dealing with a thief, but see, you something worse than a thief. That's what the Lord is saying. If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Exactly. Somebody that's of God would know to leave. You don't glean everything. You don't glean the corners, but they do. They completely against God. You see that? This in the NLT. If thieves came at night and robbed you, what a disaster awaits you. They will not take everything. They will not take everything. Those who, right, because you reap what you sow. See that? So that's why if thieves came to you and robbed you, hence your house shot, right? What disaster awaits you, right? Because you, unlike a normal thief, stole everything. Everything. And that's what you gotta have done to you. So that's why you got someone that's not gonna be a normal thief coming to you. You got your house shot. Somebody that can't die that's gonna come to you, man. It says they will not take everything. Those who harvest grapes always leave a few for the poor. But your enemies will wipe you out completely. See that? Every nook and cranny of Edom will be searched and looted. Every treasure will be found and taken. See that in the NLT? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? We gonna get everything you done wrong, all your secrets, your lies, your hate is all gonna come to surface. Everything you stole is gonna be, and tried to hide, it's gonna come to surface. So I'm gonna jump to the point. It says, this is verse 9. And thy mighty man, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the Mount Esau may be cut off by slaughter. All right. In the NLT, the mightiest warriors of Teman will be terrified, and every one on the mountains of Edom will be cut down by slaughter. Why? For the violence against thy brother Jacob. See that? Shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them. Exactly. You over there, trotting down our land, everybody feasting on us, from Ishmael, damn so-called Chinaman, everybody making movies off of us. They setting up damn stores in our community, but don't invest in the community, just to come rob, hurt, and just prey on our community, man. Through our simplicity, through our lust, through our bad times. And you gave way for these people to do that when the earth was given in your hands. Not only that, you did it with everybody. But thou shouldst not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. See, you messing with Jakes while Jakes don't even know who they are. We already down. They got to go to the league. Like they said, yeah, we had a good umbringer coming up, but we trying to maintain it. They don't got goddamn lands and inherited wealth. Like, we slaves, man. They subject to payments. Neither shouldst thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldst thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. And it's fire that they fight back, how they do against y'all, because they pretty much has been revealed to be Reubenites, which is the Seminole Indians, which is the ones that fought back against you. And it's even more fire because Reuben is the oldest Israelite. He the big brother. They not going for that shit, man. But see, Judah is who gotta get roused up for real. So if you don't like Dion and them, and they just Reuben, they're the Reubenites. Imagine when you deal with the Judites when they wake up. All right, it says, thou shouldst not enter into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yeah, thou shouldst not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity. Because we having a tough go. We in slavery. Y'all know that. Y'all put us here, right? And still have us here. And changed up how our slavery looks so it don't appear as cruel anymore to people. It's hidden. But the cruelty's still there. In the form of contracts, etc. It says, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither should have thou hast stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have, because they want all of us, those that awake and get out of this matrix, this crap, like Neos, and those that don't. It says, neither shouldest thou have delivered up those that did remain in the day of distress. They want everybody. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is near upon all heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. Exactly. How you treated us in the time of our calamity, which is what? No mercy. It's exactly why you're not going to receive what? No mercy. No type of mercy. All right. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually, because you got everybody to follow you on that. Yeah, they shall drink and swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But you was the one actually set on not having mercy against us. You influenced everybody else to help you play that out. So that's why all the other nations written to get some form of mercy, but y'all aren't. All right. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. All right. In the NLT, I'm gonna start this in the 16th verse. Just as you swallowed up my people on my holy mountain, so you and the surrounding nations will swallow the punishment I pour out on you. Yes, all you nations will drink and stagger and disappear from history. See, and disappear from history. It's over with. Disappear from his story. Because he's not gonna be anymore. As though he's never been. Like a bad dream. It says, but Jerusalem will become a refuge for those who escape. It will be a holy place, and the people of Israel will come back to reclaim their inheritance. All right. And it says the people of Israel will be a raging fire. See, will be a raging fire. The people of Israel will be a raging fire. Why? Because surely oppression maketh the wise man mad. And though they be of Israel, all are not Israel. So you got Israelites that's truly Israelites, as but they just, at the end of the day, they really niggas because they don't know they're Israelites. And if they do, they don't care. They don't move like it. They don't think like one. But so those that's actually Israel and move like it, think like it, they're going to be raging because those will be the wise. Again, surely wise, the oppression maketh the wise man mad. All right. They tell you that when you read the book of Ecclesiastes 7 and 12. It says what? Salakia. What is it? 7 and let me see. Salakia. 7 and 7. It says, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. See that? And a gift destroyed the heart. So finishing up here, wrote Obadiah 1 and 11. So the people in 18 in NLT, the people of Israel will be the people of Israel will be a raging fire, and Edom a field of dry stubble. See that? The descendants of Joseph will be a flame, roaring across the field. It says devouring everything. There will be no survivors in Edom. See that? Let me read that in the KJV. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them, and they shall kindle in them. See that? Just how flame will go over some hay. It's going to burn. It's going to consume all of it. See that? And that's why they want to get rid of us. And they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. Because that was they goddamn thoughts for us. They don't want no mercy. If they had it our way, everybody be gone. Everybody. You gotta think they want to take out the Messiah. All right. They was just able. They kept us around because they knew they could use us. But they so dumb, they forget that. All right. So this place is on this way down, bro. Y'all ass is out of there. There's no mercy coming to y'all. All right. James 2 tell you that. It says, Sirach 27 and 28, mockery and reproach are from the proud. See that? But vengeance as a lion, right, shall lie in wait for them. See that? Just how a lion sits back and then watches, prays, study, very patient. Right for the moment, wait for the exact moment where it can strike and be gotten. And it pounce on your ass and you devour. There's nothing you could do about it. It's over with. Done. That's how y'all gonna be. Because it say in the 27th verse, he that worketh mischief, it shall fall upon him. And he shall not know from whence it cometh. You know? Y'all really little weak little animals, man. Y'all ain't nothing.
I'm kidding. But the email was dated the 23rd of April. So Jax Ulbrich had to be visiting his parents, and the kid's in college, I assume, visiting his parents on Wednesday, saw.
See, the kid's in college. So you can't make this up. You know? You cannot make this up. And all you Edomites in the comment board, y'all ass gonna perish too. So stop coming up to us talking about Jesus love everybody. There's nobody named Jesus. There's no such thing. It's never been. Ever. Y'all made that up. That name never existed prior to the late 1500s. This is James 2 and jumping to the point 13. It says, for he shall have judgment without mercy that hath shewed no mercy. And mercy rejoiceth against judgment. Exactly. Those that's truly mercy gonna be happy, about that. Because that is mercy. Taking away somebody that isn't merciful is mercy. So people that's truly merciful, right, which is us, we're going to be happy about that. He that leads in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth the sword must be killed the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. We can't wait, man. Because these goddamn people, I got probably one more after this. These goddamn people, right? This is Zephaniah 1 and 15. Is it 15? No, Zechariah 1 and 15. Gotta really understand this, man. So when it start happening, you throw off like, dang, y'all don't get it, man. I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. This is an NLT, but I am very angry with the other nations that are now enjoying peace and security. See, that are now enjoying peace and security. I was only a little angry with my people, but the nations inflicted harm on them far beyond my intentions. So no mercy. Therefore, this is what the Lord Yahweh says. I have returned to show mercy to Jerusalem. See, when no one showing us mercy, my temple will be rebuilt, says Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai of heaven's armies, and measurements will be taken for the reconstruction of Jerusalem. Exactly. The Lord gonna get this thing precisely how we need to be. What don't need to be brought in, kept in. A part of it won't be. How as far as it needs to be big, made, how far it needs to go is how far it's going to go. Like the level he's going to expand us to, whatever, man. So forth and so on is how it's going to be. The Lord's going to accurately do everything the way it needs to be done, and that's what these people got coming to them, and with that being said, I'm going to end this here. This is Hebrews 12 and 16. It says, lest there be any fornicator, right? Yeah. As Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. All right. He stooped down to horrible levels for nothing. For ye know how that afterward, when he will have inherited the blessing, right, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. You can even read this in the Zondervan. It tells you, nation, the one that's pronounced, that Yahweh has pronounced, he's the only one that's written of the people, the damn nations, to not get any judgment. Any mercy. And I'm going to end that there. So as you see here, this is Edom. All right. in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. All right, Edom. We're gonna flip here. Edom, Edomites. Right here. Edom figures, right, prominently in the prophetic scriptures as the scene of great future judgments. See notably Isaiah 34 and 5, 6, Isaiah 63 and 1. She is the only neighbor of the Israelites who was not given any promise of mercy from God. See that? So that's why we say that. So keep doing what y'all doing, playing out, things, as they ought to be, so they can be as they're gonna be, So call on my help, boss me out shot, man. Shalom.